If I were to build a cybersecurity team, this is what it would look like. Now, this is completely just a thought experiment, but I was kind of thinking about this in terms of if I were in a small to medium-sized organization that's just trying to build out its cybersecurity team, how would I build that? That sounds like a challenge. And how can I make it scalable so as the company grows, you can build your cybersecurity staff out to kind of meet those challenges. And I have an idea. But first, if you lead a cybersecurity team, kind of give me your philosophy down in the comments. I'm really interested in this kind of stuff. It's just kind of one of those things I nerd out about. I know, I'm weird. But definitely put it down in the comments. I'm very interested. Now, to do this, I'm going to kind of list out some assumptions here. One, we're going to assume that we have enough resources to make this work. I'm going to try to kind of start off with a minimum 2-person team, all right? If it's a 1-person team, well, congrats, you're wearing all the hats. But if it's a 2-person team, here's how I would divide the labor between the two of us. And then as you're building outward, how would I kind of, I guess you could say the CISO, how would I build that staff out from beneath? And then how would, we scale and grow this organization to become a giant cybersecurity empire that will eventually run the company? You'll see, they never said a CISO would run a company, but they didn't know what they were going up against. So fundamentally, I want to base this off of kind of like how a command staff in the Army works. And if you're not familiar, you got your commander who's in charge of like all the planning and directing the organization and stuff like that. You got your executive officer who's like the direct, the number 2, the right-hand person. They're in charge of the day-to-day. They get all the different people that they're in charge of gathered in a group, making sure that they're getting their tasks done. And then, whenever it's time to meet and sync up and get everything reported, everything's ready to rock. From there, you have your different shops. And they're kind of like divided based on disciplines. So you'll have like your personnel shop, you'll have your intel shop, you'll have, whatever. I mean, it's kind of listed in a way. It's on Google. Check it out. But I say all that to say that's kind of how I would build the team out, starting with a team of 2. And the team of 2 would literally be the CO or the CISO. And then I'd have the XO, who would be kind of like the assistant or deputy CISO. Now, in a small organization where it's just the 2 of you, it's going to be like all the tasks are really going to fall on both of you. The CISO, just kind of by default, is going to have to kind of be interfacing more with the company leadership. They're going to be working a bit more on policy, while the deputy CISO will be focusing on a bit more of the day-to-day, kind of running some of those cases. However, especially in a smaller organization, the tempo with the planning portion may not be so that's what the CISO is doing all day. So a lot of the day-to-day will be done by both. But when it comes to planning and policy and all that stuff, those will be the CISO, and then kind of more of the day-to-day, if you look at proportion of labor, more of that will be the deputy CISO. Now, let's say your company grows a little bit. All right, and I'm going to say that you grow enough that you can add 7 more people onto your staff. That's really aggressive. In one go, that would probably take several years for that to happen. If not more than just several, but you get it. I'm going to just kind of imagine Fairyland. Your company has come across $1 billion legally somehow, and you're going to hire 7 more people, but I'm going to list them the precedence of as if over several years you kind of get, like, let's say 1 person, and then you can hire a 2nd person, then you can hire a 3rd. I'm going to list them in order of how I would hire them, and they will reflect the different shops that we were mentioning earlier. The first person I would hire is the engineering person. The second I would hire is a detection person. 3rd is response. 4th is threat intel. 5th will be GRC or governance, risk, and compliance. 6th will be red team. And then 7th will be training or public affairs officer. And I'm going to kind of explain what each person's going to do here in just a moment. But I'm going to hire these individuals in that order as time goes on until I can get that full team created. And then eventually, as the company grows, those people, or those first 7, they will be kind of the team leads or managers for each shop. So if, say you want to add some more engineering people, you'll have like your one shop, your engineering staff, or your engineering chief that will report to you and kind of interface more with the XO throughout the deputy CISO in the day-to-day. But that'll kind of like go for all the different teams. So eventually you'll kind of see like a chain of command form where Each and every shop will eventually have people reporting to them, but starting off, it might just be them. Now, what is each shop going to be doing? Now, the one shop, the engineering shop, they're going to be responsible for tooling and making sure that the tools are running, the rules are in place, that kind of thing. It can end up being quite a lot of work, especially in larger organizations. Their primary focus is going to be the security tools, but they may need occasionally to fill in with the IT tools. You may all be wearing, IT hats, especially in a smaller organization. You're going to be doing a lot. So your engineering staff will probably end up being fairly sizable. Next, the two shop, the detection shop, you'll have detection. And they're going to be responsible for kind of monitoring the tools and monitoring the alerts and identifying, what is an informational alert, which is low to medium and high priority cases, and then kind of working those and then sending those over to your response team. Now, the response team will be kind of taking those triaged cases, the ones that are known to be malicious, and they're going to be, and this is the three shop, by the way, they will be basically working those and making sure that the impact is as low as possible, the right people are notified, the process in place is executed, and attackers aren't able to actually gain a foothold in your organization. Your four shop, the threat intel shop, they will be responsible, again, for interfacing a little bit with the advocate network. We've talked about that. If you haven't seen that yet, check this video out. But your threat intel shop will be really spending a lot of time getting to understand the different threat actors that exist that pose a specific threat to your organization. And they'll be working a lot with engineering and detection to kind of communicate, hey, these are the things that we suspect, these are the things that we notice, these are the threats that we believe are our greatest threats, and do we have the rules in place that reflect that? Your 5 shop, or the GRC shop, they'll be kind of helping a lot with the CISO and making sure that the governance, risk, and compliance is getting done. That's a big task. And so that's kind of why I have them ahead of red team, is because especially as your company grows, compliance becomes a bigger issue. I mean, really from the get-go, compliance is an issue, but you want to make sure that that's getting done. Now 6, your red team. They'll, be doing red team stuff. By now you probably know what a red team is, but if you don't, they're really the ones that kind of simulate adversary actions and they audit security controls. And so that's kind of what they're going to be doing. And they'll be able to kind of, whenever they're in a low op tempo period, kind of help out with some of the other teams, but really that's their main goal is doing red team stuff. And then your 7 shop, or your training and public affairs shop, again, their main duty in this case will be running that advocacy network. And again, definitely check that out. It's interesting. Not really my idea, but if I were to build a network, I'd talk about it there, and that feeds into this video. Check it out later. But your 7 shop will be running that. They'll be creating a lot of like the messaging for, hey, these are some security things that you should be doing. But they'll, really be trying to do it in a way that the employees don't just like shrug it off and, send it to the delete bin. And they'll also be creating the different cybersecurity trainings that can help up the level of cybersecurity in the organization. Now, as I mentioned before, you can scale these up and down as needed as a company requires. As it starts, again, we went from literally just 2 people, your CISO and your deputy CISO, literally doing all of these tasks. But as a company grows, you can kind of add people, to this chain of command, to this, staff as you're going. Now, in a super cool world, you could do all of that, but not all companies have billions of dollars, and really, not all of them see cybersecurity as a big enough priority to be able to throw that much money there. So to build it up that kind of staff. So if you're in a smaller organization and, this kind of looks like a system that you'd want to implement, I've tried to make it where you can scale it down or scale it up as much as you really can. Again, I didn't talk about a 1-person staff, because if you're one, you're doing all of it. Enjoy. It's great. So anyway, you should definitely check out the cybersecurity advocacy video. It's right here. And, I've been making a lot of these videos, and I do it so you can hit the subscribe button. Just kidding, I do it for a lot of other reasons, but you should do that anyway. And hit like if you like this video. With that, I'll see you next time.